Hi, y'all. It's Rob. It is Tuesday, May 8th, 2018, and I am going to talk a little bit about bicycles. Bicycles. I do love bicycles. Um, Bicycles have been a big part of my life since a long time. I don't know. I must have been 5 or something like that. Uh, my dad and mom have always bought me, bicycles ever since I was young, and I really appreciated the freedom that they have allowed me as far as just going places under my own power with this beautiful machine. So I was reflecting on that after listening to somebody describe the freedom that one feels on a bicycle, and I could really relate to it. I think what they said was it had to do with the feeling that you get or that you had when you're very young and you get a bicycle, and your mom or dad says, all right, go have fun, and you get on your bike and you go around the corner and you're gone, and you're just free to go wherever you want, and it's just a beautiful feeling. And the feeling of that freedom always revisits me when I get on a bicycle and I start pedaling. Everything else just kind of falls away, and I feel this freedom, and I get centered in my body with my breathing and my muscles and my balance and all these things that just bring me into the present moment, which is really helpful. So I remember that as a kid, and I remember getting together with the people in the neighborhood, the boys and girls in the neighborhood, and we all had our different style and kinds of bikes, and we would ride around and trade off on our vehicles and race and skid and all this cool stuff, crash, all that great stuff. And it's always been part of my life. I rode my bicycle to school for many years. I remember once riding to 6th grade, I believe. It was my first day of 6th grade, and I was just feeling, I had my nice new school clothes on, and I was feeling myself, as the kids say. And I was riding no-handed down the street, just psyched, and I hit a rock and my wheel turned and got my clothes all messed up and was bleeding. It wasn't the most positive bicycle experience, but it was one I remember. So throughout the years, bikes really played a big part of my life, up until I had a car. Before I had a car, or maybe it was right when I started driving, my dad was into bicycling. He was getting into it more and more, and which I'm really thankful. He turned me on to his passion about that regarding bicycles. So he took my friend and I to Ensenada for I believe it was a 50-mile ride, and it was really cool, and it was my first kind of competitive experience with wheels. I did some roller skating races, which was a whole other story, and but I think that was my first one, and I don't think, I don't feel like we did I don't think we placed or any sort of competitive. I don't think we were competitive at all, but it was really fun and it was a great trip, and it was a nice bonding experience for my dad and I, and it was really nice. Um, then I got into driving, and bikes kind of fell by the wayside. And before that, I would use it to get everywhere. And then once I got a car, I was really happy about that. And you could bring people with you, and it was easy and all this stuff. And so bikes kind of fell by the wayside till years later. Living in Santa Cruz, I got into mountain biking, and that was really fun. There are some beautiful trails in Santa Cruz, and I had a lot of time challenging myself, and I got a really nice bike, a Bontrager, and go out with friends and smoke pot in the woods and ride around and bomb hills and try not to crash, all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. And as life does, it gets busier, and I have kids and had kids, and things I kind of grew away from the bicycle situation. And then at one point I found myself, I went through a breakup, and my kids were moving out and doing their own thing, and I was in this super deep depression, and it was gnarly, and I knew I had to get into some sort of physical activity to get my mind, get out of my thoughts and get into my body. So I probably didn't even put that much thought into it. I just need to go somewhere and move. So I got a beach cruiser, and I started cruising it around Santa Cruz, which is beautiful. It's so nice there. So I started cruising the beach cruiser around, and I found it really nice. I enjoyed the simplicity of it. Big cushy seat, one speed with the coaster brake, the foot brake, and I looked at it as more fun than exercise. So as I continued to do that, I started going a little farther with each ride as my endurance improved, until I was riding, probably like about 15, 20 miles in a shot on my beach cruiser. And after a while, it just kind of seemed a little silly, because I knew that I was pushing myself on this bike I was going to on mountain trails and all sorts of stuff with this beach cruiser, and I knew that it would be easier if I just got a nice bike and changed over to a more efficient riding situation. So about that time, I was moving to the East Bay, and there's a big single speed fixed gear culture around here, and so I got a Nishiki single speed bike, and someone had converted it from a 10-speed to a single speed, and it had riser bars instead of the drops, and I started riding that around, and I also started going to a bike party, which is a bunch of people riding around with music and lights and drinks and smokes and all that. And it was really nice because I was pretty lonely at that time. I had just moved up here, and I didn't have a real group of friends to hang out with, to go out with and do stuff. And I think I was looking online at things to do, and I ran across the bike party, and I thought, oh, well, I have a bike, I can do that. So I started going with my bike to the bike party on, I think it's the second Friday of the month in the East Bay. And that was a whole trip. I had a great time actually meeting people, or not meeting people, and just feeling part of the group, and not having to think about, oh, I don't have friends. I'm surrounded by like 1,000 people on bikes, and there's this feeling when you're all together on bicycles. You get goofy. You get this goofy smile, and you look around, and it's just bikes and lights, and everybody's smiling, and there's music, and it was beautiful. So I got into that, and I was still riding single speed at that time, and then I decided to move up. Well, I think what happened is my Nishiki broke. The frame broke. I rode it till the wheels fell off, and basically, and so then I moved up to a really low quality fixed gear single speed. It has a flip-flop hub. On one side it has single speed, on one side it has fixed gear. So I was riding single speed because I didn't want to mess with fixed gear, and then one day the single speed broke, the freewheel broke. So I said, oh well, we'll see what this fixed gear thing is about. So I switched it, and oh man, I haven't gone back. That was years ago. It's just, I really like it, and I see people try to explain why they like fixed gear, and it just sounds so silly, but I can relate. And so I'm not going to go into it more than, yeah, you feel really attached to the bike. Yes, I still have brakes, and I'm try to be as safe as I can most of the time, but the feeling is something that just really vibes with me. I really enjoy it. It's just, you get this like smooth cadence going, and it's like a train. It just wants to keep going, and you get to a hill and there's no gears. You just have to like push. You just have to. There's your legs are your gears, and I'm gonna make a video later on why I like fixed gear. Try to explain it, but like I said, it sounds silly, and not everybody likes it, but try it out. You might like it. It's fun. So recently, I worked up to doing 100 miles in one day on this speeder fixed gear I got, and that's amazing, and I'm super pumped that I was able to do it. Now I look forward to, oh gosh, what can I do now if I can do 100 miles? So I went ahead and invested in a new bike, and it's an all-city big block, and it's really light, and it has beautiful components, and I just got it, and I'm so excited. I don't know where it's going to take me, but it's definitely, it's a beautiful machine. I just rode it last night, about 25 miles. I just got it yesterday. So I'm looking forward to adventures on that, and we'll see where it takes me. But biking is a huge part of my life. It's really saved my brain so much. I encourage anybody that's having some difficulty to get on a bike and ride it. So that's it for now. Hope you guys are well, and I'll talk to you very soon.